Everyone, it's DocTalk. Here we are, coming up to Halloween, and Halloween always gets its own messaging in terms of safety, but we're going to wrap it in today to seasonal safety. Weather's changing very clearly across the country. We have cold fronts moving across. Uh, the people who live here in the tropics, our hurricane season is about to go away. We have one that's brewing now down in the Caribbean. It's gonna be very damaging down there. So those of you who like to go to Jamaica, it looks like it's going to be a really rough time for the islands down there. But because of the big push of fronts across the United States this time of the year, it's not going to threaten the mainland. What that does mean, though, is many of you are getting your first snow, your first freezes. The beautiful autumn that we've had in terms of the leaves is really, frankly, turns into a risk at this point. A lot of people with all of that stuff coming down also have their allergy problems, and we've certainly seen that for the last couple of weeks. Have your antihistamines, your steroids, your nasal inhalers and stuff ready to go because we're at that point of the year. And then I got to wrap in this Halloween message, which is the biggest threat to people on Halloween relates to going outside, relates to trying to walk around in costumes and related things, whether you're an adult going to a party or you're chaperoning the kids around the neighborhood, etc. Our frank number one risk is people falling. And they're falling because, man, is it getting dark earlier. And you're out trying to wander around and you're in a costume and it's got slippery soles to it and or something else. And you're there on wet leaves. That kind of stuff is what happens this time of year. And people break their bones and ruin their very nice time. The dark plus costumes is another big risk because then we have a lot of these inflatable costumes now, which just are so perfect for many people to put on. But trying to walk around in those things is a little bit of a challenge. And if you're a child and you're on wet grass or wet curbs or wet leaves on top of wet grass and wet curbs, then the next thing you're in the emergency department getting stitches. So I want to tell you the number one risk this time of the year is falling related to costumes, etc. Got to be careful with all of your extra uh, holiday seasonal lighting things and fires, etc. We talked last time, this is Fire Prevention Month, and it really relates to you putting candles inside of live things like pumpkins or putting them too close to other things, overloading your electrical system. Please be aware that's still a no-no this time of the year. We do lots of food related stuff this time of the year. So the message from Halloween to Thanksgiving is food safety. Part of that, since it's Halloween, is when you're going to the party and with the kids, take a look at their candy to make sure it's okay. Very few cases of adulteration of the candy, but there's always something related to mispackaging or something else getting in. Anything that does not look right, not sealed, good time to put that right straight into the trash and not have your children or anybody else try to do it. Any of the fresh kind of things that are supposed to be served this time of the year, make sure they stay in the refrigerator for as long as possible before you're putting them out. And again, this is time of the year where we're going together to watch football games and we're going to do tailgating, and that stuff sitting out all day is a really good way for you to spend the Sunday afterwards in the emergency department because you've been poisoned by some food that was outside too long. Obviously, special messaging coming into Thanksgiving. Another seasonal set of things here relates to us starting to get sick this time of the year. And I want to tell you, as much fun as Halloween is, if the children don't have to go to school sick, then they can avoid making everybody else sick around them. So the usual messaging in the schools this time of year is if you're sick, please don't come to school. Sick for kids is things like diarrhea, runny noses, vomiting, and anything that relates to a bad skin infection of some type. Some of you seasonally now also are at risk for bug bites. And why is that? This is the time of the year when, just ahead of the cold fronts coming in, the bees, the hornets, and any of the stinging insects are at the end of their season. To me, it always appeared they got more aggressive as they were at maximum populations and they were beginning to get challenged by shortages of food or whatever. This was always the time of year when we had kids that were stung, and many times there would be multiple stings because all of the nesting and stuff that has occurred over the summer season, they have maximized their populations before the weather kills many of them or forces them to in some way go underground. So I gotta tell you, at the soccer fields and at the other play fields outside, hanging around the trash cans where all of the food has been deposited is a dangerous place. And it's this time of the year when we often have the multiple sting scenarios, when the kids accidentally get around a nest or a number of them and they get multiple stings. So that's kind of a weird end of season thing to have to talk about, but that's very real. And in the emergency department, I see it as well as in the field. So we talked about prevention. This time we're talking about safety. We're wrapping in all of the seasonal messages, which is as the weather turns, a lot of stuff begins to get a little more dangerous to humans. And then it's your first time going out when something begins to get slippery outside. So some of you have seen your first snows and ices and all of that kind of stuff. And you got to remember your skills about doing all of that stuff again. Thankfully, no contagious diseases really going around this period, but clearly leading up to Halloween and Thanksgiving time, when you begin to see infections around the house and around school, time to stay home. Keep your hands clean, use your disinfectants as necessary, don't cough on other people. It's Doc Talk. Have a happy Halloween, and we're going to talk to you in the second week of November. Have a little delay in the release of the next one. But stay safe, have a great time, enjoy all the season has to offer. It's DocTalk. Thanks.